Alright guys, that's just the dog jumping down the window. Just as you can see, I look a complete sweaty backside at the moment. Just been on a run, just been on a 2k run. You know, I'm obviously, given the weight of me, I'm not exactly going to go on 5k runs all the time, but a couple of k is definitely good. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is the next installment of the SCFC Managers, or the Revisiting SCFC Managers series. I'll just straighten that. And of course, this next episode is Gus Poyet, which is one that full of memories, shall we say. So, let's get into it. So, in September 2013, September 2013, Paulo Di Canio was sacked. Kevin Ball took charge as, caretaker manager for Liverpool at home, Man United at home, Peterborough at home in the League Cup. And finally, Gus Poyet took charge in the international break in October 2013. So, as far as I'm concerned there, at the time, he just came in off a spell at Brighton, and so obviously there was a hopeful optimism, shall we say. His first game didn't go particularly great. It was a 4-0 defeat away at Swansea. But then, of course, this continued the run of managers that Di Canio started, where you lose your first game and you beat Newcastle in your second. Stephen Fletcher put us 1-0 up. Matthew Debuchy equalised for Newcastle on the 57th minute before Fabio Borini's 84th minute winner. And from then on, results kind of stop-started. We lost at Hull, beat City, lost at Stoke. You get the pattern here. Obviously, there were a few draws here and there as well, but we tended to really just be stop-starting the league. We didn't really start to hit form until just after Christmas. But in saying that, though, we did obviously beat Southampton 2-1. Granted, they played their second team, but it still would have been a decent result. We beat Chelsea in the League Cup quarter-finals before facing Man United in a 2-leg semi-final. And obviously, in that time, during the month of January, in particular, when we obviously beaten, just before New Year, we beaten Everton, drawn at Cardiff, lost at home to Villa, which wasn't a good result. But then we beat Fulham, drew with Southampton, beat Stoke, beat Newcastle. It was actually a fairly decent January. And obviously the biggest thing in that point in January was getting to the League Cup final at Old Trafford, rather. Minoni obviously being the hero very late on when he saved a penalty from Fabio. I think it was Fabio, correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. And obviously we then got to Wembley, which was a fantastic achievement. It really was. Even though Man United were under Moyes, I still didn't fancy us over 2 legs. 1 leg at home possibly, but at 2 legs, nah. So to go there and win and ultimately get the final was one of the best memories of my life. You've seen Dan and Andrew on here before. They're both quite reserved. They won't mind me saying this. They're both quite reserved when it comes to celebrating Sunderland scoring. And even they both, especially Daniel, fist pumped the air and then fell himself to the floor, which was hilarious. But it was an incredible memory. I didn't get to go down to Old Trafford, unfortunately. Watched it in I think it was Quinn's Bar. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I definitely watched it in the sports bar at the Stadium of Light. Obviously, after that, after the cup final, which after Borini put us 1-0 up in the first half, we were just undone by a couple of just moments of magic from Man City. But we still performed very well. None of us really expected to win. But that was one result. If I could go back and change one result in Sunderland's history, it would be that, because I was absolutely devastated when we lost that game. Even though I expected to lose it, I was seriously hoping that we could win that game, because it was the best chance I would have to see Sunderland win a major piece of silverware. I know obviously you say, we could have won the Checker Trophy, but that's not a major competition. Come on. It's certainly not one that I'm going to take pride in winning. But anyway, I'll get onto that when I get to Jack Ross. But after that, our form really started to dip, actually. I don't know what it was, but and some of the performances weren't bad. There was just some that we just didn't seem to get the rub of the green. And obviously, after the Tottenham 5-1 defeat, Gus Poyet had the infamous "We need a miracle." And of course, following that, we lost 1-0 home to Everton with Wes Brown scoring an own goal. And then, obviously, came the great escape, which was drawing at Man City, which we should have won, beating Chelsea, the first team to win at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League when Jose Mourinho was manager, and then obviously beat Cardiff, Man United and West Brom to secure safety. Then this is where it started to kind of unravel for Gus Poyet, really. In the summer, we were chasing Fabio Borini, who didn't seem to want to come back. One of the big things that I will criticise, and this isn't just Ellis Short, this is Lee Congerton as well, not going for Marcus Alonso, when I think one reported fee was like 3 million, another one was like 5 to 6 million or something like that. Bargain these days. And look at the player he's become. And although we got Patrick Van Aanholt, who I did think was a decent signing, I still would have preferred we got Alonso back. Or you could have got both, I don't know, but it wouldn't have shown the ambition. Keyshawn Young didn't come back, and in hindsight, you'd rather have got him than Jack Rodwell. And I'm not even going to talk about Jack Rodwell, because it just annoys me too much. The first half of that season, of the 14-15 season, was really about just playing for draws. And there's a big difference here. I've criticised this with Martin O'Neill, but I actually think Gus Poyet deserves quite a bit of credit, because when he set us up to be hard to beat, we actually were hard to beat. We weren't conceding stupid goals. We weren't playing Carlos Quayer at the back. We weren't doing anything stupid for the most part. Obviously, he had the 8-0 against Southampton, but that was like a one freak result that, for me, although you could say it kind of diminished Poyet's forward-thinking tactics, for me, I thought in general Poyet did a stellar job with what he had. Then, of course, January was probably when January came. Obviously, since then, we obviously beat Newcastle because I was already beating them 3-0 under Poyet in February 2014, which was the best performance I've seen in the 6 in a row. And then obviously we beat them 1-0 at St James's before Christmas. Did we deserve to win? You could argue not. We certainly created the better chances, but obviously that's by the by. And then since then, Josie Altidore left, Jermaine Defoe came in. And you could argue in some ways that was the decision, that was the signing that cost Poyet his job in the end. But in saying that, though, we were still relatively hard to beat, but you could tell towards the end, I think there was rumours that Poyet was wanting a way out of the club. There were rumours that he wasn't particularly happy with what was going on behind the scenes. There's lots of different things. I'd recommend you go listen to the What the Falk podcast that Graham Falk, formerly of Roker Report, actually did, and it was a great interview with Gus Poyet. I loved listening to it. It's 2 parts, well worth your time if you want to check it out. But in saying that, though, Poyet, the last couple of results was a 1-1 draw away at Hull, and then finally a 4-0 defeat at home to Villa. And bearing in mind, Villa at that point, this was mid-March, and Villa had only scored 4 away goals all season before that game. So in the end, you could argue it was right to sack Gus Poyet, but I just wish Poyet in the summer of 2014 had been allowed to build on what he had done, and had been allowed to build a team that was capable of comfortably avoiding relegation. So anyway, guys, look, I love you and leave you there. Poyet, thank you very much, mate. I think he's probably behind Allardyce, my second favourite Sunderland manager that we've had, because he gave me some of my best memories. I forever have respect for the guy. I love you and leave you. Thanks again to Wearside Life for the thumbnails for these videos. Absolutely cracking job. Go and watch his Fall from Grace series. Absolutely brilliant. And just give him some support, because, we want to keep building his profile up. And thanks again, guys. I love you and leave you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time in this series anyway, for when we talk about Dig Out for Cat.